Hey everybody, today we're going to global scope and functions. In JavaScript, scope refers to the visibility of variables. Variables which are defined outside of a function block have global scope. This means that they can be seen everywhere in your JavaScript code. Variables which are used without the var keyword are automatically created in the global scope. This can create unintended consequences elsewhere in your code or when running a function. Again, you should always declare your variables with var. Using var, declare global variable myGlobal outside of any function. Declare a global variable outside of the function. Initialize with a value of 10. Inside function 1, assign 5 to oops global without using var keyword. Interesting. Okay, cool. So we want to declare a variable here. Declare a global variable. So they want us to declare a global variable myGlobal and initialize it with a value of 10. So we're setting it equal to 10. Assign 5 to oops global here. Oops global. Okay, so I think that I'm doing this here. Inside function 1, assign 5 to oops global. So variable oops global without using the var keyboard. Oh, I see what they're doing. So what they're doing is they're saying, because you're describing, you're assigning this variable within a function, this will become a global function. Only change the code above this line. Okay. And then, so yeah, the variable, the output is equal to an empty string. If you run function 2, the output is equal to an empty string. If my global, let me see here. So I'm going to do console.log and I'm going to say type of, which asks the class of a variable. And then I'm going to say oops global. It says undefined. Okay, so oops global is undefined. What about my global? This is a number, which means that makes sense because it's set to equal to 10. So oops global is not actually working. Interesting. So I'm just going to comment this out and then think through this again. If my global is not equal to undefined, so let's say type of my global, we can see that it's number. Okay, so of my global. Okay, so this renders out to number, which means that that doesn't come. So we don't do output. Here we have output is equal to an empty string. The output is not equal to my global plus my global. Wow, this is incredibly complex or confusing. If the type of oops global is not equal to undefined, type of oops global. Well, if we say oops global, and we see down here it is equal to undefined. So this doesn't render true, and this does render true. So output is equal to my global plus my global. My global should be defined. My global should have a value of 10. My global 10. My global should be declared using a variable keyword, my global. And then oops global should be a global variable and have the value of 5. Oops global. What happens if you just console log oops global? You get nil. I don't even know. Does this pass? Interesting. Okay, cool. So this is the way that you solve the problem. But let's talk about variables. Okay, so in JavaScript, you have global variables and then you have internal variables. Oops global it should be set inside of this function so that this variable is only used within this function. How do I describe this? Scope is really important because you can have a whole lot of different functions across your application, and you want the variables inside of those functions to be held within that function. The reason for this is because you want each function to operate independently of the other functions in your application. A lot of times you'll have variables like number or whatever. There's a lot of variables that you end up using all the time repetitively, and for those functions you want the variable that is within those functions to be not spread across the whole application. So a global variable, maybe you'd want to set up a global variable that was like my name, right? And across this whole application you always want it to be Ian or whatever, right? That makes more sense. The global variables will actually be on the top level. Look, to be honest, this is a poor way of describing this fairly more complex situation. I think that this could be written a different way, meaning like, yeah, it's all about scope. You have big functions. Anyways, I think that this is a good introduction to the idea of scoped variables. It's kind of a complex topic that you'll understand more as you learn more. So I think that you should take away from this that you kind of get the idea that it doesn't even do that well, right? My global. So here, let's run through this like this. So first off, we're setting my global is equal to 10. So my global is a variable equal to 10. The next thing, the computer is registering a function called function1. And we're going to assign oops global here. But because we don't use the variable it's kind of a precursor, that means that it's going to be like, yeah, you could say console.log oops global, and you'll see that it returns nothing. So it doesn't even go global. What they're trying to say is oops global is global, but it's not even actually showing up that way. Of course my global will work because so now we're printing here, but in here, no, it's still scoping into this function. So this tutorial is actually incorrect. But the tests pass, and scope is super important, so I'm hoping that we address it more in future episodes. For now, I would say if you're having a big challenge with this test, I would say just run through it because it's a little crazy. Hope you guys enjoy this. See you in the next lesson.